Formula One is back in Hungary, so let's talk tires. Pirelli has provided the same tire compounds that we saw them provide for last year's race. That was the C3 for the hard, the C4 for the medium, and the C5 for the softs. Last year, that was actually the softest range of compounds that Pirelli provided. However, this year we saw them go one step further on the soft tire and provide a C6 compound. While we only ever hear about a soft, medium, and hard during the weekend, each weekend those soft, medium, and hard tires are actually selected from a range of 6 compounds that Pirelli develops for Formula One. Those compounds are actually arranged from C1 to C6, with C1 being the hardest tire and C6 being the softest. So last year at Hungary, we gave the softest possible compounds available. This year, we're sticking to those compounds as opposed to going to a softer one. And the reason why Pirelli is doing this is that this track is a little too hot and the laps are a little too short for a softer tire to really make any sense here. Last year, we had incredibly high temperatures on track, and a softer tire would really not hold up in these conditions. Last year, with this same compound range, the most popular Tyre strategy was actually a two-stop. We saw the medium perform best, and we also saw 13 of 20 drivers opt to start on that medium tire. Last year, Yuki Tsunoda was the only driver to complete a one-stop strategy. And given the fact that we are looking at the same compounds and the same conditions, we will most likely see the medium continue to perform the best, as well as most drivers opt for a two-stop strategy. Each driver this weekend is allocated 2 sets of hard tires, 3 sets of mediums, and 8 sets of softs. The 10 drivers who make it to Q3 will also be allocated an additional set of soft tires. If you're new to the world of Cargo Fast, that allocation is for the entire weekend, meaning all 3 free practice sessions, qualifying, and the race itself. However, should we see rainy conditions come out, drivers will of course have access to intermediate and wet tires. And should we stay in dry conditions, this is a one-stop mandated race, meaning that every driver must stop at least one time, and every driver has to utilize 2 separate compounds in this race. The most important part to understand when it comes to tire strategy at this track as you watch the full weekend is that this track has a high amount of track evolution. What this means is that throughout the weekend, because of the high temperatures, the track usually starts up with a larger amount of graining on the tires than you see throughout the weekend. As drivers are going through free practice sessions, the heat in the track is taking more rubber off of the tires and putting that onto the track itself. So as the drivers continue throughout the weekend and they put down more rubber on the track, you'll see that tires start to last a little bit longer and graining is a little bit less of an issue. And one other interesting part of the tire allocation when it comes to Hungary is that starting in 2023, we actually saw the drivers allocated less tires than they are at other tracks. Typically, drivers are allocated 13 sets of tires for a race weekend, but in Hungary, they are only allocated 11 sets of tires. So most likely, we are looking at a two-stop strategy. I think with the drivers starting at the front, you will most likely see them start on a medium, and we may see some drivers in the back take a risk to start on softs and hopefully make up some of those positions right at the top of the race. Do you think one of these McLaren drivers is taking the race, or will we see one of the other drivers who has won here before, Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Esteban Ocon, make a move to surprise us here in Hungary?